Today I'll be making a Yushiro matchup tier list. Well, you already saw it in the title. It's already made. Plot twist in it. After that, we have Water Tundra. Water Tundra is one of those characters that I respect if you play them in this game. He doesn't really do much other characters don't do. Icy Tundra rips him in half in terms of what they can do individually. However, Water Tundra's matchup into Yushiro is pretty abysmal. All the skills lose to his DP. Again, that's a common trend you see in D tier. But I put Water Tundra ahead of the other ones because not only does he have an assist, which automatically makes him better than the ones that don't, but he's one of those characters that you have to get a lot of mileage, a lot of skill level off. You don't throw tilt skill into Yushiro willy-nilly. You use it to counter other moves, which some characters don't have because of how advancing they are. Anyway, it's still a pretty good matchup and Yushiro should win this match. Then we have Rengoku, this is today. Rengoku, all of his moves yet again lose to Yushiro's, but Rengoku's a similar case because unlike Water Tundra, his moves are advancing, which falls into the same pitfalls as like I mentioned before. People will just throw it randomly, and even if they switch out of it, which I've seen some Rengokus do, because of Yushiro's tracking on his DP buff, he literally turns around and hits the switch target anyway. To start off, you need to. It is a wild interaction. Rengoku's DP isn't enough to beat Yushiro's armor in itself, and he continues travelling and hits him after the DP as well, making it even worse. In the end, it's just a lost matchup. After that, we have Obanai. Obanai, I've really liked his design since the beginning of the game, but unfortunately, the Yushiro into Obanai matchup is pretty cooked on the Obanai behalf. It basically turns down to tilt skill not being useful or neutral up to the point that any sort of Yushiro interaction beats it. Base skill is an interesting move, but still loses quite heavily into Yushiro's toolkit, DP, poison. And you can heavy through it, same as most other people using D tier. His DP hard loses to Yushiro DP. I don't know how to tell you how free that thing is. Yushiro's DP breaks through armor, which you will see in another certain matchup in D tier. So basically, yeah, Obanai's pretty cooked. The only thing saving him from being Yuichi type 0 tier is that he has an assist. That will be a trend. The assist is a big buff. That's what I have to say. And then we have Muzan and Yushiro. I think they're about even how much they lose to Yushiro. Yushiro's moves have high end lag. His only counter thing is his DP, which you can literally just backstep and bait out. You can see it in one of my videos. Its tilt skill is still not that decent into Yushiro itself, and most of his toolkit is good into punishing him, but not good into advancing, which Yushiro just plays offensively in that match and wins, including his heavy. Yeah, it's pretty cooked. Muzan, on the other hand, has the opposite problem. His moves are pretty well rounded, but Yushiro goes through them with his heavy, his everything. Sleep poison locks him down. He takes the most damage in the game, so if that's the part of the character, you'll be rated pretty low, considering the fact that Yushiro can literally TOD you with the right starter, which is a guaranteed reset TOD, but just ignore that. Except for one character which breaks this rule. Yeah, pretty cooked overall. Muzan's only counter move is his tilt demon skill, but because you don't get the free punish off it, but in the end they spend one demon bar, then another bar to counter it. It doesn't really work in the end, unfortunately. Then we have the last member of D tier, which is Kaioku. Kaioku is all about his armored moves, when you can punish him, when you can do your things against him. Yushiro, as I said, has an armor breaking DP. This is massive. Everything that Kaioku can do, other than jump cancel, no longer works. Yushiro's DP does a full 180 if they do tilt demon skill, meaning that's unsafe. Yushiro's advancing moves then become all the more like safe because that is a threat. Think of it as having a projectile character. The opponent won't want to push you because they might throw a projectile. Same thing for Yushiro, but just a bit different in terms of the DP and it breaking armor. In the end, you should be winning these matchups unless it's a pretty skilled Kaiju player. I've seen some people counteract this, but it's actually just base game sense, base dash sense, base counter sense in those matchups anyway. Basically playing with one arm behind your back and a 2-speed. So yeah, that is a pretty good matchup, and it's the last one of D tier. Next up, we have the C tier. These are the good matchups. You want to run Yushiro into these if you know how to play the character, but it's not as free as a win, up to the point that you can literally spam DP into a D tier and probably win the game. Basically, you want to play at somewhat intermediate level into these, but still, you have advantages in these matchups that I recommend to any Yushiro player. Of which, the first one is Murata. Murata himself is a pretty bad character on his own, but when faced against Yushiro, his base skill can block afterwards, but tilt skill can't. Ignore his DP, and Murata's basic low damage and everything like that. Basically, he's here because Murata's so weak himself, not due to the fact that Yushiro's gone into him. But yeah, I put him here. I didn't want to put him in a good matchup because he is Stu Murata, which is not the same as what I can say about Inosuke. ED Inosuke, in fact. ED Inosuke, yet again, relies on armor. You know, much like IQ matchups love that. But he gets redeemed by the fact that his base skill doesn't immediately lose to Yushiro's DP. His whole gimmick is guard breaks, or more using your DP against their DP, breaking the guard with a little sword attack. I think that's how ED Inosuke plays. I haven't seen him in a while. Anyway, still, really good matchup. But the combined with the fact he's a broken assist, which means if you put him into the bench, he can immediately get value off that. And also, ED Inosuke is one of those characters that you can just adapt to Yushiro, uses deep armored moves to punish rather than advance. Something you can't do with Kaiju because Yushiro doesn't actually have to advance Kaiju, he actually has to advance Inosuke. Big difference. Anyway, I put Inosuke in instead. Was thinking about him in D, but still, he has his counters, which the people in D do not. And then we have the Water Hashira. The old Water Hashira, Udokodaki. Udokodaki is a 1-speed, needs you to approach him. Yushiro's poison deals with his traps pretty well, so does his sleep. His DP works quite well into his water-based moves, but you won't see him place those because Udokodaki plays are better than that. I would be dead ass honest. Udokodaki is one of those characters that I've not faced in a while, but I would hate to fight against a good one. But still, your tools theoretically have a really good matchup into him, and I'd be happy facing one at any point. Same with Darky. Poor unfortunate Darky in this game, man. She used to be so fun with a base demon skill and everything like that. Decent damage, decent resets. Well, decent's a strong word, but still playable damage. We don't have to look to Darky's and optimal combos these days, do we? To figure that out. Poor Darky's been butchered. I would say she's a balanced matchup, which is the next tier. But because of her own weakness and the fact that all of her moves lose against Yushiro himself, and his mobility, his DP, his heavy pressure, everything like that. Yeah, poor Darky's put here. RIP Darky mains. Really hope you get a buff soon. I'd love seeing you in ranked when the game first released. Not because I could win, but because it's unique to fight a Darky player. Especially with that trap. Anyway, yeah, poor Darky player, man. And then we have a base Inosuke. Base Inosuke, yet again. Armored demon, but he works pretty well. I put him above ED Inosuke simply because most of his moves can be cancelled before the fact, which ED Inosuke can't. Except for his DP. Don't ever DP into a Yushiro, guys, unless, you see a tilt skill or like base skill come out of Raw and you just feel like they don't have enough time to DP over the reaction time. Either way, I put him also higher than ED Inosuke because his damage is higher, I think. That Bull Rush change really did help his damage. I've seen him do like 70% combos off 3 bars when paired with the right assist. I do fear ED Inosuke players, but not for the character. The character loses to Yushiro, but for the players that play him. Still, Yushiro has a really good matchup for the same reasons as base ED Inosuke. Guard break doesn't really work against Yushiro. Because even if you break his guard, he just calls sleep and you have to get him off him anyway. Which is the way you should be using sleep. You shouldn't be using it to open the combo up. You should be using it to protect yourself when stuff that would get you punished wouldn't. Anyway, yet again, C tier is the way to put that in Inosuke. Time for the hottest take of the entire video. Well, second hottest take, actually. Is the hotter one coming up. IC Tunge in C tier matchup. IC Tunge players should be worried about this matchup, to be honest. Every skill Yushiro has counters each and every one of IC Tunge's skills. Basically, his mash game, IC Tunge's mash, is like the only standpoint in this matchup. The DP has a lot of startup. Yushiro players can react to that DP in response and just beat it. And you can tell IC Tanjiro players to play the game in boost and stop spamming their DP. Because if you DP their DP in boost, then you still get the punish. They can't cancel out of that. They can't jump out of that in time. They lose that matchup. They lose the exchange. So I think, from my experience fighting him, and because my time with the character himself, that he deserves to be in C in the matchup. So Yushiro, run him against that player that you really do not like running into, because in ranked when he spams that DP 15 times. Okay. The only reason, by the way, that I even put him in C, not D, is because, well, the character's damage is actually insane. And the bar gain anyway is quite strong. The character's strength itself is why it's in C, and not because players playing him. Next we have up is Sanome. Sanome, in theory, gets countered by Yushiro heavily, but here's the big but. The reason why it's not in D, even though all his moves lose to it, sleep poison, and everything like that, is 2 reasons. A, because I personally, not the Yushiro himself, but me personally, have the most massive skill issue into Sanome players. Like, you don't understand how much I've lost to this guy. Most of my losses actually came from fighting this guy at release, and one player playing him in ranked, and it's actually infuriating due to how much I think the Yushiro counters him. And second of all, the damage, the amount of damage he takes. I would have said this for Udo Kodaki if it was more relevant, but for Sonome's case, it's a bit more like certain. I don't know what about Sonome players that make me lose to him, but in the videos you see me beat a Sonome, just know, in hindsight, I probably lost 1 or 2 before. He's basically my skill issue character. Everyone has one. Don't bother me for it in the comments. Anyway, moving on. And now is actually the hottest take of the video. Icy Yakuza in C. Now, don't click off the video straight away. Let me explain myself. That's the whole point of me making this. Probably to explain this one choice. Yushiro's DP has the unique property of armor. I prefer put him in the balanced tier, but because of the armor, one base DP, if triggered against the opponent's Icy Yakuza's DP, beats their DP because you can block it in time for the final hit. It's a 1-bar trade that gives you a full light combo or a full optimized combo. It's the freest thing I've ever seen in my life. Icy Yakuza's base skill gets countered by Yushiro's DP as well. They can jump away, but that's 2 bars down the drain. They might use a 3rd bar to try to go back in, but you block. Or you call Sleep or Poison. Sleep or Poison works really well into this matchup. simply because like if you think he's gonna level 3 dash you, you can cool sleep, take or poison, take the dash head on. They might mash, and the sleep catches them. You get a free combo. The reason why I chose this one in the background is just to show off like this matchup is really strong in Yushiro's favor, but it's not a free win by any means, which is why it's not in D, because it's still Icy Yakuza at the end of the day. You will get hit by that random thing. You will get hit by that random base skill. You will get hit by that random tilt skill because it's Icy Kaza, and that's just what the players are like. But in the end, yeah, my hottest take is this one. And if you ever see someone spamming the hell out of this character, maybe you want to Yushiro into him. Maybe using the D tier character into the SS one works sometimes. Who knows, give it a try. Now we have SW Tonj, Swordsmith Village. I should probably say it's SV, but I remember SW for some reason. And then ED Tonj, here for their like relatively low powered skill sets, but like they should be in B, but they're honestly too weak to be in B. Like, it's still a good matchup at the end of the day. I would be happy taking it, but still, it's not free by any means. But the next one after that, those two, is Zoa. Zoa himself, I really love the character design and everything. But he used to be an A tier matchup, which is like you lose to and everything like that. But ever since the armored change, Yushiro's DP hard counters the base skill, the tilt skill, and the DP. The sleep and poison work really well on him. The heavy lock works especially well into him because he can go through the dragons and still get through. His heavy is good into it, most of his projectiles. He's relatively a readable character to fight against, relative to the player we find, not like Judah level, like Venom level. Anyway, still, this matchup's a in the favour matchup for the Yushiro player in the end of the day, and I would take it any day. But make sure you're actually good into Zoa, because if you take this list and fight him into it and like lose anyway, that's because you didn't know how to fight Zoa in the first place. You need to know the fundamentals, which is why it's not in D. I'm gonna be honest, you need to know how to fight Zoa properly. Because unlike Kaioku, you can't just mash DP into him and like laugh at all his armor, because he will read it. He will lightning you in the air for trying, and then he will get the free punish. So yeah, there is a bit of counterplay, but still, not as much as the later additions to the list. The final one in the good matchup tier, the C tier, everything like that, is Guillaume. Yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of slander for this. Anyway, Guillaume, again, projectiles, just heavy through it. It's pretty easy for a heavy punish. If they jump away, well done you, they spent another bar. Just follow them up for a dash, let's see what they do. If they throw a projectile down or dive, you DP them and they just lose the thing. Tilt skill still loses, but they shouldn't be using tilt skill anyway. DP, before the armor change, the DP was the reason why this matchup was like in the higher tiers. Like best for good counters into him, but like now one DP just goes through it because it continues traveling rather than impact frames, and the armor carries it through. So yeah, it's still pretty good honestly. But yeah, Guillaume on by himself is a losing matchup into Yushiro by chance. So try that out. But if they have like a good assist, move it up. Like move it up to balanced matchups, because a good assist can probably bring up any Slayer that I brought up into the next tier. But still, I wouldn't put Guillaume any higher myself. Next up is the B tier. The B tier has good counterplay on both sides, which means it's balanced. Yeah, that balanced? Like it's pretty balanced on both sides, yeah. These are the matchups that you can run him into if you're like in a tournament setting and you counterpicker. But like, yeah, it'll be an actual fight rather than like a washover. So yeah, Do with that what you will. And let's move to this, shall we? The first person here is Yahaba. Yahaba is only here not because of the character himself. I was thinking of putting him in C, but I couldn't will myself to do it. Because Yushiro is not good into projectiles. Like, at all. I mean, like, the free projectiles, not the ones like Zuokten's one that's just the thunder from the sky. Otherwise, he'd be one tier higher. Anyway, yeah, just simply because of the fact he's a zoner means it's balanced, but don't get it twisted. Yahaba's still not great. You should, in theory, be winning those, but like, I won't blame you for losing it as much as other people would. Yeah. Overall, do what you will. Deep through most of his projectiles when you can, and heavy through them, but don't be predictable. I can't forget to speak, Jesus Christ. I'll say Makamo is next for the same reason as Yahaba. Weak character, but in theory should counter you. I mean, Water Wheel can punish most of Yushiro's options. You can sidestep it, making it safe. Like, it's an actual matchup. If only Makamo wasn't weaker, maybe it would be a counter. Like, if there was actual damage on that character, move it up a tier. Maybe if you put the right assist on it, there is damage, and I get 50%, I move it up the day after. But from what I've seen from Makamo, yeah, he's imbalanced. I wouldn't put it any higher. Yushiro and Darky are next. As you know, I went over them. They don't have really good matchups individually into Yushiro, but the fact they have an assist now to cover up their flaws, their little gaps in their moves themselves, combined with the fact that they're actually good assists, like, make this matchup a bit more difficult. Up to the point where I would say it's balanced. Now, without these or the use of switch tech, put them right down to C. But with switch tech and with the ability to use the assist to cover up flaws, like I stated, I would happily put them in this tier. It's very much worth it. Now we have ED Zen. ED Zen is a relatively quick character, as we all know. His moves can easily punish Yushiro's moves, but by themselves, they don't really get into Yushiro very well. Which some people would say is worthy of, like, putting in a counter, but still, I wouldn't. Like, I've not lost to an ED Zen in a while, man. I wouldn't say it's free, but I've had to work for those matchups, but, like, I wouldn't, like, underestimate this character. He's still plenty playable. Into this character, into Yushiro himself. Like, for example, if they see an ED Inosuke ED Zen team, which I've seen quite a lot in ranks, like, just switch into ED Zen. You don't need the assist, you'll be fine. And actually play the game if you can. So yeah, that's where I place ED Zen. The Wives in Sabato are basically there for the same reason. Good character. Some flaws in their movesets against Yushiro himself. Yeah, again, DP heavy, steep poison, tilt skill, everything like that works well into them, but they have counters of their own, especially the blue assist. But in the end, like, it's a fight from both sides, which is what the game should be. I think every character should be this tier. Fortunately, that's not how this game works. So yeah, I'd say they're about the same. Not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of playstyle. Base Zen is next. Base Zen is quite interesting. Same as ED Zen and how they got approach and everything like that, but he gets a bit of the cusp off ED Zen simply because he has higher damage. Like, I feel those combos. I wouldn't say I would, like, get crippled from one ED Zen combo, but, like, you lot comments on, like, whether which one should be where, if you have some alt arguments, but in the end, the base, the heavy, the everything like that still works, as each of them both have. It's just I place this one a little bit higher. Next we have Hinakami Tanj and Nezuko, which I would say is the same. Both high damage characters. They both are incredibly good neutrals. I'm surprised I don't see them more. Especially, like, Kami Tanj. Like, that character hits like a flipping truck. That character takes off 80% for 4 bars and like a single and 2 assist calls. Like, it's insane. But in the end, like, there's still counterplay. Especially because of Hinakami's damage multiplier. And Nezuko's like inherent weaknesses like chasing Yushiro. But yeah, wouldn't put him any higher. Now we have the mirror. The Yushiro mirror. Yushiro counters himself inherently. His DP can counter his own DP. His tilt skill loses to his own DP sleep and heavy. A missed heavy Stu gets punished heavily due to poison or like a dash. Yeah, he counters himself quite heavily, which makes the mirror one of the most significant mirrors I've seen in a while, to be honest. But still, at the end of the day, if 2 characters counter themselves, can they truly be called anything other than a balanced matchup? So I put them right here. At the top of B tier, shade of Tengen, and that's because Tengen players are like built different. Their DP covers a lot, punish a lot. 50% off each combo. Tengen is heavy, like covers all that. Basically counters Yushiro for the same reasons, but Yushiro counters him at the same time. It's just not a mirror. But I place him slightly higher, just ever so slightly, simply because like it's different. Like you don't have when you fight a Yushiro mirror, you know what Yushiro can do because you're playing him. You know what your DP does. You know everything like that. You don't know every tech a Tengen player has going into it. I've been surprised, for example, in the background right here, by Hoodie in this tournament that I played. I did win this tournament matchup, but Hoodie's techs like switching into like Tengen, switching out. Basically, a use of switch like did surprise me a lot, but in the end, as you can see here, Stu won by 2-1, eliminated from the tournament. Woohoo! Pat on the back. But yeah, that's the fully completion of this tier. Next, we have the Yushiro disadvantage matchups. These are matchups I'd rather not fight in ranked or any place like a tournament, but there's still like ways Yushiro can approach it. There's ways to enforce his pressure. For example, his heavy. His heavy becomes a lot more central in these matchups because his DP isn't such a strong tool into them. And the best example for this is the lowest one in this tier, Enmu. Enmu himself has been weakened quite a bit, but he's a projectile character, which, like I said, fights pretty well into Yushiro, the 3 projectiles, making it even worse. Yushiro's DP can get in and then he can run away for 15 years using every defensive tool, which is the reason why he's at the bottom of this tier. But getting that first hit is a difficult part. Once you get that hit, it's basically, you just win that matchup. But until you do, and until you get in, yeah, it's pretty abysmal on the Yushiro side. Just use the heavy correctly, hopefully. That's my only tip. About the same thing for Genya, but Genya isn't a Slayer, so he can kind of like switch when he loses a health lead and like approach you, which I can't say for that, which wise is a bit higher. Genya and boost is still a menace into Yushiro. His counter, this is one of the starting counter characters, does work pretty well into Yushiro, but isn't that good for against sleep because you just punish that. It's not safe. It's probably the worst counter in the game, but still a counter nevertheless, which makes it even that tiniest bit higher than Enmu. He doesn't heal, but he doesn't need it because he's got a gun. So yeah, I'd put him safely in this tier. Now we have Muchiro. Muchiro's counter is much, much better than Genya's. He can actually approach Yushiro with his tilt skill, and his base skill is a good like anti-push tool. If you use base skill at a certain range, it kind of beats Yushiro's DP. Uncharged, by the way. Uncharged means like it's not triggered. Muchiro is a brilliant matchup into Yushiro. However, there is counterplaying with the Yushiro player. They could play a bit more passive, a bit more into the dash to try to open them up. But I am wary of these Mucho players. And just like a future character that comes up, which has all these same arguments, he does a lot of damage. Like a lot. It's great. Susamaru and Rui are here next. Same reason as Enmu. He's a projectile character. But Susamaru is better here because he is a better projectile character than Enmu. She's a lot more movable, can move away from the Yushiro's counter a lot easier, and can play the range game. The only weakness is damage, which Enmu does not have, if he does the right reset. But yeah, I wouldn't want to face a good Susa player. Same reason as Rui, the light buttons can cut up a lot of Yushiro's advancing tools, like his heavy, like it's just a light intercept, it's not that hard. Or his DP, that's uncharged, just catch him in there. Eye Basket's pretty strong tool. It's just, he's not in the top tier because most of his moves can actually be DP true now. Like his base skill, and they have to spend another part to jump out. And Tilt Demon skill, the one where he places this trap on the floor, doesn't work as well anymore. Simply because he has armor with his DP, like I said. So he just goes through it. Kind of like DS1, how he could just DP 3 times go through. But that was a funny gimmick. Still, I wouldn't say there's no counterplay, but it's getting less and less. The final two on this tier is Shinobu and Mitsuri. They're here for the same reason. The air game. Yushiro has a chronic weakness to people playing in air. His DP doesn't reach. The tracking did help, but it just doesn't work. And that can be seen quite heavily in the Shinobu matchup particularly, simply because of how floaty the character model is. If I see Shinobu's anything like this, then I'm going to cry, in that order. Meanwhile, Mitsuri's DP puts her there, unpunishable. You could try to chase it, but like she has two different ways to dive you afterwards, one safer than the other. The only reason why Mitsuri's not like, even though it's the top of this tier, not like S into Yushiro, is because her tilt skill loses quite heavily into Yushiro's DP and can be heavy through, which I've done twice in my time on this game because it's quite tight timing. Anyway, yeah, don't leave these two out, and I don't recommend fighting against them personally, but you can, which I cannot say about the next tier. This is the S tier into Yushiro. This is the I'd rather cut out my eyes than fight this guy in my ranked game or a tournament. I have had many issues with these guys in the past. Many of them have lost me tournaments and lost me games that I really shouldn't have due to the player playing them. But in the end, these are the worst matchups for Yushiro. Let's hit it. First one is base Giyu. Did you know base Giyu can safely DP Yushiro's sleep twice? Therefore, if Yushiro gets caught in the DP, he can DP twice, get the most damaging combo I've ever seen of base Giyu because of the blue combo. Because he hit those two DPs. And it also becomes safe, even with one DP, meaning it's a 1 bar for a demon bar trade, which is not fair at all. He can DP straight after his water wheel, making it safe and giving him a blue combo if I DP it. It doesn't beat heavy. This interaction does not beat heavy, by the way. But still, the fact this is something in the game is insane. Base skill in air drops down and could be jumped out of, and can pretty safely punish Yushiro's DP if it misses and you don't cancel it in time, meaning you have to play the 2-for-1 trade game. And it's pretty actually abysmal. Put it against the right assist and you've basically lost that matchup. It's, like I said, abysmal. Then we have Susaba, the ranged monster. I would rather put my own eyes out and fight this character, man. Like, holy Susaba. Like, bro, this is the reason why I learned Icy Tundra. Like, a dead ass, this is the reason. Like, this character into zoners is already bad, but combined with switch tech and assist, like, no. You ain't winning that if you've tried. And that's not even one of... That's the top 4. I'm not even done to the top 3, so just like... Yeah, let's see what those are. Then we have Base Akaza. Base Akaza, like I said, is a low damage multiplier character. Nope, high damage multiplier character, got mixed up. With 1.35, meaning if you hit him, then yeah, he snaps like a twig. But until then, his DP compass cuts Yushiro up like a mad one. Tilt skill gets shut off completely in this matchup. You're not allowed to use it. His DP, if like baited up prop, can be compass needled. His heavy can be compass needled. His sidestep mix-ups can be compass needled. Everything Yushiro has, including his sleep, like if you call sleep and they compass needle into your block, they fall out of the air, you don't get a combo. It's insane. And you can't even light attack after the compass, guaranteeing the punish. You just kind of get hit by like a counter smash, or like you have to grab him, which isn't even damage. Like, it's safe as hell. People shouldn't be winning that matchup at all if you're using the Yushiro, but if played right, it is counterplay. With specifically the poison and dash. You're not allowed to use most of it with other tools. Poison and dash, okay? DP on like the things that give him startup or like the mash, but make sure it's triggered, because if that thing hits block, push block, DP is incoming and it's coming fast. Yeah, it's abysmal. And then we have the problem child ED Zen. No, I see Zen, sorry about that. Probably just causing upset in my chat. Anyway, I see Zen as the same thing as Base Akaza, but takes less damage, has an assist. You can't mash it, same, you have to dash it, which reduces your combo. If it hits block, it's armoured, it has varied timings, it gets blue combo if they fully charge it. If they surge, they can go through most of your stuff using it. It's actually insane. You can't even DP time it, like you can do a compass needle, which doesn't even get you a combo. It's like horrific. When this character came out, I had a little break. You can tell by the timing of my videos, it slowed down. And that's the reason for the break. This character is horrible, but not as horrible as the final character on this list. Okay, on the morning of ICGU's release day, and I saw his move list. I saw everyone else call him mid, but I already knew what it meant. I saw Base Giyu's entire thing that cuts him off and puts him in S tier in his kit with a very timing DP, right? That you can't punish, unlike Base Giyu's. His moves are insane. His base skill can punish anything Yushiro can do, making tilt skill even more unusable. His DP works on poison, works on sleep. He gets 80% combos off those if it triggers. And everything you can think of doing with Yushiro, just lose immediately to his DP and his base skill. Combined with the fact that he has same as base Giyu, but like even more here, an assist to cover up his tilt skill is insane. Like, I don't even know how, when you watch my videos, you see me win these. I'm clipping them not just because like it's a good match for YouTube. I'm clipping them because the game before, I probably beat this guy 3-0. But like, if I fought against a different guy who actually knew what he was doing, I would lose every single one without like getting any damage done. It's horrific. Like, I don't even want to tell you how bad this matchup is, man. Well, I just did, but I just don't want to fight against it, to be honest. I can't wait for the nerf to come where I can actually punish that DP. Maybe I'll put him down below IC Zen. But as he stuns now, like, bro, this is why I have IC Tundra in my back pocket in clan battles and stuff like that. Like, bro, it's abysmal. Like, actually, yeah, it's painful, man. It's just bad. Here's the full and completed list if you want to look at it more in detail without watching the video, but timestamp in my chat. Anyway, if you have watched the video, I love you. Thanks for watching my content. And yeah, I just wanted to show you this so you could learn the character better. Have a great day and do whatever.